Welcome to Women We Should Know with international speaker, mindset reset mentor, author, and your host, Leslie Michaels. With audacious honesty and candor, the Women We Should Know podcast presents the wisdom and life-empowering insights of women who are the embodiments of innovation and social evolution. Please join Leslie as she shares potent conversations that will inspire your personal and professional evolutions. Welcome to Women We Should Know.
Welcome back to Women We Should Know, the podcast where we consistently bring you the voices, the tenacity, the audacity, the innovation of women who are making tremendous changes in our world, who are carving new pathways. The thing I love about all the guests I bring to this show is that as they carve new pathways, they're leaving the light on for us so that we can see where it is they went if we want to follow. These are women who do not color inside the lines. They do not get in boxes created by other people, and it is always my pleasure and my honor to be able to bring them to you. And today we have an amazing woman. Eva Medilek is a high-performance coach, an international speaker, and a #1 best-selling author. She works with both men and women in the areas of high performance, personal development, leadership, creating inclusive environments, and mastering habits for success. And it's all about inclusion, right, women? We've been talking about this for a long time. We can get to diversity through inclusion, but we can't get to inclusion always through diversity. So I love that she is starting with inclusion. Eva specializes in helping busy entrepreneurs create successful businesses while working their day jobs. Now, that's a really important thing that I want to speak about because so many of you out there are in that position of the day job while creating something that is going to give you a more luxurious and gentle life. Eva shows you how to generate the energy needed to reverse the burnout and the overwhelm that you experience from trying to do it all. The whole superhero woman, that era is past, and now we get to just be real, strong, innovative women. And I'm so thrilled to have her on the show to tell you some of how you can come about that. Eva, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me, Leslie. I'm so excited to be here. And it's funny, as I was listening to you describe the caliber of your guests and how they leave the light on to show you the way. I was like, oh, we're like Motel 6. Let me leave the light on for you.
I like that. I like that. Motel 6 with room service and better linen.
There you go.
I have a little tradition, Eva. I always enjoy asking my guests, what has already inspired you today?
Oh my goodness. I just got off an amazing call with my ladies in my high performance group coaching program, and they are just so generous and inspirational and sharing their experiences and insights to lift each other up. And I just love, the women helping women concept, if you will. So I got to start my day off today with them, and I was actually telling them in the group, one of the things that energizes me, because we were speaking on energy today, is coaching, these small group cohorts of amazing women. And I just leave every coaching call so energized and so ready to, oh my God, I can conquer anything today. I'm just ready for the day. And it's, day's half over. Let's face it. But yeah, I find other women so inspiring.
Well, here I am Women We Should Know with a podcast and a book about women and a TED Talk about women. I'm all about how amazing we are and how much more amazing we are together. And slaying the old games that were passed down to us through the patriarchy of competition and comparison. That's old. That's stale. It's time to let it go.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So one thing I would love to hear you speak with our guests about, or our listeners about, is success without sacrifice. What exactly is that? And just how can we all attain that?
Well, I know you and I are from similar generations, right? And we have grown up with the idea that more is better and that we can do it all. And we've grown up multitasking and all of that. When you look at, there's a popular commercial that was popular, I think, in the late 70s, early 80s, where this woman comes out in 3 different outfits. It was a perfume commercial. And she comes out, one outfit, she's a businesswoman holding a wad of cash. Then she's a housewife with a frying pan. And then she's got this sexy gown. And all the while she's singing, I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, and never, never, never let you forget you're a man, because I'm a woman. And that tagline, oh my God, Leslie, remember it? I work for you for the 24-hour it. That's basically
Dating to an entire
generation of women. And, basically that message was like, we can work 24 hours a day. We're expected to work 24 hours a day, but at least we'll smell good as we work ourselves to death. And so ideas like that have set us up to believe that in order to have it all, that we have to be it all and do it all too. And then when you look at what is that costing you, like whether you're a woman or not, what is that pursuit of having it all costing you? And so as a result, so most of us are going through life feeling stressed out, burnt out, overwhelmed, exhausted, and it's affecting our mood, it's affecting our health, it's affecting our relationship with other people because we're always busy, right? We're doing a lot, we're exhausted, and we're doing so much to keep up with the demands of our work life and our personal life that it's taken its toll on both. And especially those of us who are working a job while building our entrepreneurial businesses. And so we're sacrificing our health or well-being in our relationships in order to be successful and have it all. And so when you ask about sacrifice, right? How can we advance our career without sacrificing those things? Here's what I have to say to that. You don't have to sacrifice everything, but you will have to sacrifice some things. And the problem lies in the fact that we're sacrificing the wrong things and it's hurting us in the long run. And so we've got to learn what sacrifices to make in order to move our vision, our values, and our priorities and what matters most to us forward. So that's what I mean by having success without sacrifice. It's not that you don't have to sacrifice, but you don't have to sacrifice what's important to you, like your health, well-being, and your relationships.
Right. When we factor in the data that last year, if women had been paid for their unpaid labor, it would have come to $1.4 trillion for the year.
Probably each.
At least it would have felt like that. But how do we address that kind of a statistic in our individual daily lives and learn how to filter out what are we going to sacrifice? How do we create a template or a perspective to know what to sacrifice?
Well, here's the thing. We actually are living in a society where many coaches and gurus are making a living telling us to do more.
Yes.
Right? We are constantly being told that more is better, and that's really not necessarily true. I mean, when you look at it, how many times have we added more salt, more sugar, or extra whatever to recipes, hoping it'll make it better, right? And it ended up being a disaster.
Cover up that mistake and it becomes a bigger mistake.
Yes, exactly. And so, success is about being willing to give things up. And so the formula I used as a high performer is a CPR formula, because it's not about doing more to have more, but it's also not about doing less just for the sake of doing less. It's really about determining what the right things are to sacrifice so that you can be successful in every area of your life. And so you've got to be willing to give some things up. You've got to be willing to delegate. You've got to be willing to move some things off of your plate, if you will, to have more of the things that you want on your plate. And so I add this formula that I use to jumpstart high performance so that you're a better performer, because high achieving is not high performing.
Now say that again, because I do not want our listeners to miss that. That's an important statement.
That's an important point. High achieving is not high performing.
Right.
Now, because we all probably can call ourselves high achievers, but how are we performing that we're not sacrificing or putting our health and relationships on the back burner? Right. So my formula of CPR is clarity, priorities, and responsibilities. So you first have got to be clear on what you want and what makes you happy, because you don't get happy. You give up what's making you unhappy.
And now that's another important truth. We don't become happy. We give up what's making us unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
So important.
You don't get skinny, you give up what's making you fat, right? You have to look at it that way. That's why I want people to get into this mindset of, what do I have to give up and let go of? I mean, I have a bag in a corner here where I've just gone through my closet and stuff that I absolutely love, that I haven't worn in years, and that I know I will never fit in again. I am going to take it to the consignment shop, and, it's heartbreaking. Like, they should have got out of it. But, they're a little tight now. So my point is, we've got to get clear on what we want and what we don't want, about who we are and what's important to us, and to make sure that we're living in alignment to that. Because many of us will say our family and our health is the most important things in our lives, but we're living as if our job and our career is. That's right. Yeah. So that's the C piece. Now we move into the P, which is priorities. We've got to establish clear priorities, because studies show that when you don't have clear priorities, or when your priorities aren't clear, you're actually up to 30 times more likely to miss out on success. And how we spend our time, our money, and our energy is a direct reflection of our values. But here's the thing. When we base our decision-making on our values, on our priorities, then we're willing to sacrifice what doesn't move forward or support our priorities.
Right. And the interesting thing to me about values and priorities is that they are really completely different things. Our values tend to be fairly consistent, but our priorities, do you not
don't match our values?
Give ourselves permission to let our priorities change and evolve as we do.
Exactly. And what's my priority today is not my priority tomorrow, but it supports, my vision and value of who I am, the lifestyle I want to create for myself, and who I want to be as a wife, as a mom, as a leader, as a coach. It's all really staying in integrity to that. And so, as someone who will say almost yes to everything because I have shiny object syndrome, and that sounds like a good idea, and I could get it. I have learned to stop, drop, and roll. And what that means is I take a pause, I breathe, and I look at my priorities, especially daily, because we'll always let other people's priorities hijack our own for the day. And I will ask myself sincerely, and I keep my goals in front of me, in front of my computer, and I'll look at my goals and I'll ask myself, is this thing that I think is the next hot thing and that I don't want to miss out on because I have FOMO going to bring me closer to my priority, my values, and my vision? Or is it going to act as a competing interest and move me further away from that? And that's made it easy for me to make decisions when I'm really torn and then I don't trust myself and all of that. And I just really get clear on what my priorities are for the day, the week, the month, the quarter, the year. And then I ask questions about priorities. And me doing this for you now, just because you ask, going to pull me further away or bring me closer to my vision, goals, and values for the day. And it doesn't mean that I'm not available for other people. I'm available when it's convenient for me.
And what a concept. What a concept that we are taught the opposite of from the time we come out of the womb.
But yeah, because most of us were raised by martyrs.
Yes, it's true.
And so we've had that role modeled for us. And even though we are in the age of our autonomy and our empowerment, there's still that weed that no matter how much we pluck it out of self-sacrificing, martyrdom, putting other people first and ourselves last, it'll still, we may pluck it out temporarily, but it'll still rear its ugly head, if you will. That weed will come back. No matter how much.
So true.
And, I was talking to a woman in my group today, and, the guilt that we feel when we put ourselves first is very strong. And what we get to know that our self-care, if you will, no matter how it is we choose to care for ourselves, is not a separate from productive action. They go hand in hand. The more we take care of ourselves, the more we show up and the better we are productive in our life and business.
Yes.
And most women don't realize that. They wear that superwoman martyr cape, self-sacrificing super angel to death.
Oh, the super angel. Yes, absolutely. We have to master that. And then also,
let me get to the R before we move on.
Okay, but can I ask you this? I was going to say, also, I want to just make clear that I understood what you said because I want our listeners to.
Okay.
That when we allow ourselves to have our priorities for that day or that week or that month, that is how we most strongly feed our values and support our values. Did I hear that correctly?
And that's how we become more effective.
Thank you.
Productive and avoid the burnout. And here's a practical application of that. How many of us have gotten up in the morning and when we turn on a computer, the first thing we do is start responding to emails?
Man.
When we do that, and I'm glad you brought this up, so thank you for that. When we do that, we're putting other people's priorities ahead of our own.
What an excellent contextualization of that.
So I would encourage everyone who's listening to this to be in creation before consumption. Before you consume other people's emails, texts, requests of you, you be clear. And this is where kind of, calendaring and scheduling and prioritizing, you be clear on what your priority is for that day. And that's where, for me as a high performer, our morning routine comes in. I get clear on, okay, this is what I want to accomplish today. I've got it all written in my calendar. These are the appointments I have. These are the breaks I have in the day so that I can continue to generate energy and not wear out, if you will. And I attend to all of that first. I've got to get back to, I've got to fill out Leslie's form. I've got to, reserve the time on my calendar. I do this, do this. That's my priority. That's what gets done.
Mm-hmm.
And then me personally, I peruse and star everything that looks important. And then I look at my calendar, which is right here. And I'm like, okay, today, let's just say at 2:30 for me. Then I can go back and respond to everybody's emails. So it's very strategic, but what happens is everything that I needed to do for me, especially when it comes to email or getting back to somebody or texting somebody, has already been done. So now I've got an hour to look through my emails and see what's important, what's a priority, and then I have a priority system for that, and I kind of write it down. I'm not getting back to her today. That'll be tomorrow because these things are more important. And this is where we're protecting not only our energy, but also our priorities.
And our mental health.
Well, our mental energy is a part of it. Yeah, our mental energy.
The creation and so emotions. I wrote it down. That's going on my whiteboard. After we went through here, that's going to be one of my little gems. But now, thank you for clarifying that. Let's hear about your R.
Okay. The R is responsibility. And here's what that means. You've got to own the responsibility for not only creating boundaries, but setting those boundaries and communicating those boundaries. That's your responsibility. You make poor choices, saying yes to everyone, to please everyone, and you end up overcommitted because of it. So boundaries create safety. And so our job is to support the structure, is to set it and communicate it. And here's what I mean by communicate it. You may have that boundary so set in your head, and nobody's going to read our minds, especially if it's a new boundary. I'll give you an example of that. Here in my office, my husband and I run a real estate investment company, and this is where we would keep all of the files and stuff for our investments and our rehabs and our vendors and things like that. When I started coaching full-time in high performance, I had to give something up. And that was the control of the real estate investment company that I built. It was my baby. And for the sake of my relationship and my marriage, it was best for everybody involved that I gave up control about that, because that was creating exhaustion, overwhelm, and burnout in me. So I gave it up to him. And that was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Give up control as a certified control freak. And I share that with you because, when I'm here either recording a podcast or coaching my clients, I have the door closed for privacy. My husband would knock on the door and come in and get a file that he needed for the real estate company. And inside I'd be seething. Doesn't he know the door's closed? He shouldn't come in. And all of this, like, he should know that a closed door means da-da-da-da-da. And then I was like, well, he knocked. He didn't know what I was doing behind closed doors. Maybe it was to keep the dog out. Maybe it was so I wouldn't hear the noise of the traffic outside. And so in that moment, I realized that I had all the responsibility of telling him what a closed door meant. And so I said to him, honey, Okay, so let me explain to you what's going on. A lot of times I'm with a client and they're telling me personal things, so I have the door closed for their privacy and protection. Or I'm doing a live podcast or something. So when the door is closed, even when you knock, it's an interruption. So a closed door means no knocking, no coming in, no anything. When it's okay to come in, what I'll do is, my commitment to you is I'll leave the door cracked when it's okay to knock it in. But if it's closed, we don't. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it was fine. Easy peasy. I hadn't communicated what that boundary was or what a closed door meant. But once I did, he was willing to support it. And the more you communicate your boundaries, the more support you'll get.
Yes. Or the more clear you become about who won't support your boundaries. And I think that has equal importance.
It does. But what you're going to find, and it's been my experience, that people respect your clear communication of boundaries. Yes. Anybody who doesn't is a jerk.
Well, you know,
I don't like really feel. No, I think
get your out
when my kids were little, I used to get really, really bad migraines early on my tour. I thought I was dying every time. And I remember one migraine I had when I told the girls, I was like, look, you've got to be really quiet. Mommy needs to be alone in a dark room. And you've got to keep your voices down because I have a really bad headache. And I guess they were playing in their rooms, and I heard one of them yell, at the top of their lungs. And all I could think of was, bless their hearts, they were, in their way, respecting my boundary, because one was yelling at the other one to be quiet because Mommy had a headache. And it just proved the fact that as long as I was clear with them about what I needed and why, they were willing to help support that and protect me, bless their hearts, at a high volume. Because somehow there was a little bit of a disconnect, but it was really sweet. They were like, Mommy's got a headache, you got to be quiet. While screaming, Mommy's got a headache, you got to be quiet. And I find that more and more is when I'm clear about, even when I answer emails, I will share with people, I only answer emails maybe, once or twice, 2 periods throughout the day. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, if anything's urgent, you have permission to text me, for an urgency or an emergency. And and the more I communicate my boundaries, even with my clients, like, oh, can you see me at this time? No, I have a hard stop where I'm with my family after a certain time.
Yes.
If it's an emergency or something, I'm happy to accommodate. But in general, all of our coaching sessions are not going to be at 7:00 at night because it's convenient for you.
That's right.
Do what you need to do to, take advantage of the investment that you make. And I had not had one person not respect my boundaries ever so far. Now I jinxed myself. Now I've jinxed myself.
I have had a couple, and what that told me is that, I was not clear from the beginning. I was not sufficiently clear. I stated the boundary, but in some way I did not relay that this is unbudgeable. And that's
a really clear distinction or insight. I am an assistant who has this boundary of not working on Fridays. And every time I see communication come in from her on a Friday, it confuses me. And then one time I communicated with her on a Friday and she got really upset. Friday's my day off and how dare you, da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, let's have a meeting about this. And I was clear with her permission. When you break your own boundaries, it also gives other people permission to break them too.
That's right. Yes.
And it was confusing to me getting mixed messages. All of these emails with requests from you on a Friday. And then one time I have a request from you on a Friday. And it was like, and she saw that, and she's like, yeah, I'm not good with sticking with my own boundaries. Okay, you've got to be the role model.
Right. We do have to model our own boundaries.
Well,
And I can say I have been guilty of breaking my own boundaries sometime, and then later someone else breaks it and I'm getting ready to blow up, and then I remember, oh no, I opened the gate first.
yeah.
Then what are or what is the most important thing that you say to women? I know you work with men and women, and so I'm sure you understand the difference in requirements of men and women in our business world. What is the most empowering thing that you regularly invite women to implement or notice or initiate for their own growth and their own, to be able to stay centered as they are in that growth process?
I think the most important session that I go through with my women in group and in private coaching is how to generate the energy that they need to be the best version of themselves that they are aspiring to be. Here's what I mean. We've all seen like a NASCAR race or the Indy 500, and we see those cars are racing at dangerously high speeds, trying to win the race, get to the finish line without crashing and burning. And I remember the thought that used to go in my head when I saw the lead car, the car who was ahead, leading the pack, according to the announcer, because I could never tell, that lead car would pull over and stop for a pit stop. And the thought that went through my head was, aren't other cars going to pass them up and they're going to lose the race? Like, why would they stop now when nothing's wrong with the car? But those drivers know how important it is to take a pit stop so that they can continue to race at peak or high performance without breaking down. Now, most of us, especially women, are going high speed, in our lives and business, trying to do it all, trying to have it all, and we never stop for a pit stop. And as a result, our health, our well-being, and our relationships begin to break down. Ask me how I know about relationships breaking down, because that happened to me as I was, working as a dental hygienist, building my real estate investment company, doing all the cooking, the shopping, the laundry. I was the woman in the commercial. That was me. I could do it all. I don't need anybody. And, I think I might have shared with you at one point, at one point, my relationship was in breakdown when I discovered my husband's infidelity. And so what I would say to women is how important it is to incorporate habits that not give you energy, but generate energy. A power plant doesn't have energy, is what my coach always say. It generates it. So what are the pit stops that you need to incorporate throughout the day so that you don't run out of gas, your tire doesn't go flat? Because most of us are reactive. Yeah, we get hungry. Oh my God, I'm so hungry. My stomach's growling. I need to go eat. We get tired. Oh my God, I'm so tired. I need to finally stop, turn this computer off and rest. And then our families, the people who are important to us, it's what's left over of us. Our fumes are sputtering to the gas tank. And then we can't stay awake watching Netflix. We fall asleep before our spouse or partner does. We're too tired to give them the energy that they need from us. So I always tell my clients, what are the energy generating habits or pit stops that you can incorporate in your day so that the energy you start out with the day is the same or even better at the end of the day, so your family gets what's best of you, not what's left of you.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Eva. Now, women, I'm going to do for you what I always do for you. I'm going to put all of Eva's contact information, her links, her link to connect with her, and her brilliant coaching on the program notes. So if you happen to be listening to this podcast while you're driving or jogging, and you get a chance, stop, go to YouTube. You'll find all of the information there. You can go to the website. You'll find all of her links there. Subscribe. Join us so that you can keep hearing these wonderful conversations. Like and comment. Yes, I'm going to talk about commenting. I always talk about this. You know I do. Why is that important? It helps us to know what you want to hear. And it engages us all as women who are moving in high-performance world to be able to share with each other, to be able to communicate with each other, to be able to uplift each other. And whatever comment you leave for us, we'll pay attention to that. Whatever comment you leave for Eva, we'll be sure that she gets that. So like, share, and comment. And then my last invitation, those of you who've been with me a while know I always ask you this. What woman do you know who, while you were listening to Eva speak, you thought of her? You're thinking of her now. Oh, she needs to hear this. Oh, this is something she would relate to. Well, be a good sister. Share this episode with her. It's not up to you whether or not she washes it. It's not up to you whether or not she heeds the information. It is only up to you to be a good sister. Let us all start being better sisters to each other. So share this forward with just one woman you know who might be impacted. Eva, thank you so much for being here today. In closing, what is the last thing you would like to say to our audience today?
I just would like to share with women that, I just want to say this right. It really isn't about how much you can do, how many balls you can have in the air, how many balls you can juggle, or plates in the air. I think it's the way it goes. Plates you can spin in the air, balls you can juggle. It's really the energy that you bring into your life and your relationship is what matters most. And, when you get my free gift, which is Energy Generating Habits for Success, I give you really 6 actionable things that you can start right away to bring more energy into your life and business so that you are more profitable, more vibrant, bring more joy and more creativity into your life and business so that you're enjoying your success. You're not a miserable, successful woman because you're so tired and burnt out. Yes, you got all the things in the accolades, but at the end of the day, how much joy and vibrancy do you have in your life? So, and that's the one thing I would say, make sure you get that download, and everything that's on there, you can incorporate immediately. It's super easy, and it's just creating new habits.
Okay, you heard it. Eva is giving all of you a gift. Oh my goodness, how wonderful is that?
And you would go on my website, evamedilek.com/energy, or just go to the website and you'll be able to get that because, your energy and your relationships matter more than anything else. So don't do what I did and have a breakdown in your marriage. We're fine now, by the way, in case any of you are wondering. We're totally great. But it was a scary time and it was a painful time. And so my mission is to help everybody have wonderful, juicy relationships and juicy, successful businesses and wonderful relationships with everybody in their lives.
And isn't that why we do this?
What it's all about.
Otherwise, it's just success for success sake.
Mm-hmm.
Success is supposed to be the platform on which we get to live a big life. Yes. Well, now, women, you know where to find all that. You know to go to the program notes, find Eva's website, go to the website, download her free gift, and bless yourselves with what she has to share. Thank you so much, Eva. I am truly grateful for you joining us. I know that our listeners got many, many golden nuggets today. Oh, golden nuggets. For those of you who are new, you don't know what we do with golden nuggets, right? You take your golden nuggets that you got from Eva today, and you write one on a piece of paper. Every different one goes on a different piece of paper. And then you just toss them on your desk, toss them on your bar, toss them on your dresser. It'll get mixed up with everything else. Then in a couple weeks, when you're sorting those papers, you find that, and that's a little gift that you are giving to yourself in the future. You get to find that nugget and say, why did I write this down when I was listening to Eva on that podcast? Oh, I remember now. And then you get to bring that back to yourself. Thank you so much, Eva.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And thank all of you for joining us again. Golden nuggets, gifts from the guest. Oh, what a wonderful day we've had. We've learned so much. I truly appreciate you. And as you go through your day, please remember, you truly are stronger and wiser than you know.